That feed off the Red River and is taking the brunt of the overflow. We caught it with some residents who seem to have a mixed reaction. Some are preparing just to be safe, and some seem to have no worries at all. Ed Bellawider has been a resident of 17 Park Crescent here in Petersfield for 15 years. And Ed, we've been driving around Petersfield and looking at the water creeping up slowly, but yeah, in a sense, very quickly. And behind me here, probably the river is probably about a good 300 to 400 meters behind me. But you're not taking any chances.
No, I'm not. I heard from many of the people in the neighborhood that there would never be a flood here, but so did the people down south. And I mean, who knows? That's the big problem. We really don't know what's going to happen, so better be prepared.
Normally, do you experience any flooding here?
No, none at all. The creek comes up pretty high. Last year, it was probably within a couple of feet before it would flood here. And again, nobody really can tell me whether we're going to have a flood or whether anything's going to happen here at all. It's just better to be prepared. We're preparing inside. I've built some sawhorses so that I can put the furniture up. And if the water comes beyond the 2-foot dike that I'm going to build, then we'll put the furniture up and head for the hills like everybody else.
Your fellow neighbors, have they expressed any concerns as well? I mean, you're preparing for it, and we've seen the flood sneak up on a lot of people and really caught them off guard in areas that weren't anticipating flood. So I suppose anything can happen. What are your neighbors experiencing and their feelings as well?
Well, I think there's a lot of concern. Some are doing something about it, as you see my neighbor over there. He's quite high. And others are just expressing a concern and wondering what they should do. And they're obviously not doing too much to prepare themselves in terms of getting dike material or anything else. Others are building sawhorses and getting ready to just put the furniture up and hope for the best again.
Hi, I'm Lynn Power. We're in St. Andrews, Manitoba, just a little bit south of Selkirk for Plugged In Flood Watch 97. With me here, amongst about 100 people, is Mr. George Pike. How you doing, George?
Fine. Very good.
Now, how many volunteers now do we have? There must be 100.
Yes, we have two groups working on the piles, and we have people inside eating and people inside resting at this time.
And this has been going now since dawn this morning?
Yes, the Army was here bright and early, and they loaded up. We had people from the Hydro, and then we have organizations coming from Verdun. We've had Boy Scouts, we've had Girl Guides, and we've had school people here. And we're now getting the community people are coming from work, and they're helping us out in the evenings.
As far away as Verdun? Wow, that's the spirit.
It is. We're getting people from Stonewall, Beausejour, Oak Bank, Dugald. They're all coming out and helping.
Fabulous. Now, you said you've had truckloads of sand. How many tandem trucks is it?
30 yesterday we went through, and today we're probably running about 40, maybe as high as 50 before dark.
Wow. Now, the sandbags that the community and the volunteers are loading, where are they heading?
They're going to be heading down on River Road near Hay. It's a low spot in River Road between Larders Golf Course and Lockport.
And the floodwaters are going to come as far. We tried to get down River Road, and we can't. It is closed in one area there. The floodwaters you're expecting, tell me about that.
We're trying to stabilize our dikes. We built up the road in several places with clay and rocks, and we're putting sandbags on top. Hopefully by 6 to 7 o'clock tonight, we'll be stabilized and held for the night.
Perfect. Now, listen, I want you to share with us what you told me about 5 minutes ago. You told me if I can tie a shoelace...
You can tie a sandbag for us.
And there you have it. If you can tie a shoelace, you can tie a sandbag. For Plugged In Flood Watch 97, I'm Lynn Power.
We're on Highland Park Drive in East St. Paul, and we're talking to one of the residents of Highland Park Drive, Jim Gauthier. And boy, Jim, I'll tell you something. You got some sandbag piles here.
You got that right. We're sandbagging. Our house alone is taking 20,000 sandbags, and that's putting the sand in the bags. We don't get them delivered full. We have to put them in ourselves. And they figure there's approximately 800 to 1 million bags for this area.
In East St. Paul. Interesting, too, this subdivision now, this was not here during the 79 flood, so you really you don't really know what's going to happen.
No, we weren't here, and people that were here during the 50 flood tell us it went all the way up to Henderson Highway, all up past the railway tracks. Now, of course, we didn't have the floodway in 1950, but we just got word today that it's up another 8 inches over forecast, and the forecast kind of changes daily.
Yeah. So you have to watch. Now, municipal engineers have told you to prepare for what height?
Well, they prepared us, in our particular case, a dike of 4 foot around our house, allowing us 2 feet of freeboard. So the dike we've got around our house is 4 feet.
So you've got an added problem here in this area too in East St. Paul, because not only do you have the Red River on one side, but you have a creek that runs through the community.
Yes, we have a creek right behind us, and that's why we have to dike the river off and dike for the creek, and the creek will come as high as the river because the river backs into the creek.
And I'll tell you now, you've seen some amazing effort on behalf of the volunteers.
Oh, the volunteers have just been super. The kids, the adults, the neighborhood. We're saying after this is all over, we're going to have the biggest block party Winnipeg's ever seen.
Well, there you go. And Jim Gauthier in East St. Paul, thank you.
You're quite welcome.
All right, we're going to take a look here at the land area that's been done and the sandbagging that's been done here at Jim Gauthier's. And I'm going to tell you something. 4 feet is, and it's well done. I hope that based on what we just heard from Jim Gauthier, that indeed this is going to be enough, because this is one great effort, and this completely encircles the property here. And this is only one of probably 35 homes in here where efforts are ongoing right now. We'll be taking a look at some more of that here in a few minutes. Along the riverbank right now on Highland Park Drive in East St. Paul, and some of our volunteers today. Of course, we've heard all about the great effort that a lot of our young people are putting in. What's your name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Rayburn.
Rayburn.
Sarah Leslie. Jessica Arnett.
And where do you guys go to school?
St. Mary's.
So you've got the day off. How many days have they given you off for this?
They haven't.
They haven't. You guys said, we're going to do our part.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, no, I'm going to tell you, I don't think anybody's going to fault you for that. So, is this what you expected you'd see when you came here?
I don't know what I expected.
Make you nervous?
Sometimes it makes me feel good that I'm helping.
Yeah. Does it make you nervous to think about what's coming?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, of course, when all this passes and this stuff holds that you're all doing, you're going to realize you were part of saving the whole neighborhood.
And people are going to have a lot of sandboxes.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to have the biggest litter box in Canada, I think. You know what I mean?
Definitely. We should dedicate a park to it or something.
There you go. Anyway, so I think on behalf of the students and staff at St. Mary's School, and I think some of your other students were off today helping out too, because we've seen some other ones, we thank you very much for your help.
Welcome.
And see you later.
Thank you.
Yellow line.
This is Kildonan Drive, and talk about a fine line, a very impressive fine line with sandbags. And we've taken a drive starting at Telethon Drive, starting at Sydney, and this impressive dike of sandbags start from Sydney and go as far as you can possibly see here. Military help has arrived, and residents are bagging fast and frantically. Dads from the Canadian military here first thing this morning. An impressive dike. How many men have you had here first thing?
Guys, this morning we showed up with about 52, and we started the initial lower bag lane. So we got it almost completed, then we were called away, and now we've just come back.
You know, one thing that's interesting, when you come to a point that needs a dike like this, are you informed of what you have to do as far as engineering-wise, and you're followed up with a plan?
On arrival here in Winnipeg, we received a briefing from one of the city engineers, and they instructed us how to build a dike, how to put the plastic in it, how to top it off, and what ratios we had to have for width versus height. So we received a lecture before we were allowed to sandbag.
I've noticed that some of the soldiers here are making repairs on the dike as you're building it.
When we got called away this morning, the local population here were left on their own, and they copied what we did. When we came back, well, we just walked down the dike, just checked it out, and make sure that the bags are in the right position and that it looked good and all the seams were good.
Now, it must be, in a way, exciting for your troops to be here because it is a grim situation, but what are their feelings? I mean, it's probably only natural to get caught up in all the excitement of building this and just rescuing Winnipeg. What are their feelings?
Well, the soldiers were called in off exercise, so we moved in from Wainwright, Alberta, and soldiers have a good attitude about this, and it's a good cause.
We're going the other way. Once again, a true multi-community effort. The Red Cross, the Salvation Army truck you see behind me here is from Minnesota, and one of the volunteers working here is Captain Glenn Habkirk, who's from Lethbridge,
Alberta.
And when was the call to come in?
I received the call on Tuesday morning from my supervisor of the Salvation Army's work in Alberta, requesting that I get ready immediately to go to Winnipeg to assist in whatever way I could with flood assistance. And so we packed and we came on a plane yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, we're seeing on the national programs a lot of attention in Winnipeg on the national programs. Is it in Lethbridge as well? You're seeing flood material coming from Winnipeg?
Yeah, the citizens of Lethbridge and area are very concerned about their fellow citizens, and they've been calling the Salvation Army in Lethbridge asking how they could support the need that's in this area.
Yeah, obviously a vital part of today's help with the sandbagging line here. What exactly are you providing here for the people of Kildonan Drive?
We have a little bit of everything. We have subs, we have some pizza, we have bologna sandwiches, we have cookies, we have some muffins, we have all kinds of cold drinks, fruit drinks, and we did start the morning with chili. We started with a lot of water, but we're out of those two things.
Well, I mean, it's a grim situation, but once again, as we've seen continuously, a lot of people making the best of it. Are you seeing that as well? A lot of people coming in, great spirit?
Yes, it's an unbelievable sight. We were over at another location, and I was amazed by all the young people that are in there pitching away and just really giving it their all, and that's great to see. Our country's in good hands with with youth like that.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, it's quite something. It's sad the damage has been done, but there's so many positives and people working together, and it's beautiful.
Continue a little further down our journey down Kildonan Drive. Conceivably, if you see this big oak tree behind me here, if you built a plank, perhaps from the shore, I guess we can call it here, straight across Rainbow Stage, you could conceivably walk across. It is absolutely unconceivable how much this water has come up, and that's why the frantic sandbagging here. We've reached the end of which the dike is being completed here on Kildonan Drive, and I'm joined with Sig from the city of Winnipeg. Sig, your job is to monitor the dikes behind the homes along Kildonan Drive, is that correct?
Yeah, they've got dikes around a number of the houses, and water's not too high up on them, but, you know, if they go, then, of course, the basement's full.
Now, obviously, you've been in contact with the people with the homes along the way here. What's their concerns? How are they feeling at this point in time?
I think everybody's reasonably comfortable that the city's doing what they can, and we see a lot of help out here. I mean, it's just amazing the participation that you get from the Army and from volunteers.
As always, now I understand first thing this morning there was about 200 residents out here first thing in the morning getting the dike going.
This morning when we got here about 7-ish, they had about 200 Army fellows just hammering down sandbags from that end, and I guess it's going to be just very shortly over here that it's going to be over. Volunteers started showing up a little later than that. Then the Army had to go down to Glenwood because they were having a little problem there. And people have just been coming more and more since then.
This impressive sandbag dike you've seen starts at Sydney just down Kildonan Drive and ends just down the road at Hawthorne. Starting at 10 this morning, working frantically with the Army. And once again, we have seen why Canada is focused in on Winnipeg and southern Manitoba, showing why this great community is once again king of the hill. For Plugged In Flood 97, I'm Rob Wozni.
I'm Lynn Power for Cable 11, Floodwatch 97. We are at the southern tip of St. Adolphe. I'm standing on a ring dike that I would say is about 25 feet high. It is built circling this community. This community now is empty. It's about 5:30, and as the military say in their Operation Noah, the evacuation time is scheduled for 2000 hours, 8 o'clock p.m. tonight. As the military brought us through this small empty community just right now, there is yellow police ribbons hanging from every door. This represents to the personnel that are helping the community through this, that these particular homes have been cleared out, evacuated, everybody is safe. And as they exit the community, they are checked off on the highway by address, license plate number, what have you. Now you can see behind me, the water, as you can see, is high. The personnel that are here, there's actually more military, we've been told, between the ones that are stationed here already and of course the ones that are arriving as we speak. There's actually more military personnel here in this operation than there was in Bosnia. They have brought with them many types of equipment, big and small. We saw what the military is calling APC, an Army personnel carrier. This is about the size of a very large pickup truck, but quite oval, quite round. This machine has the capability of floating for operations such as rescue if necessary. This is Lynn Power, Cable 11, Floodwatch 97.
We're at the junction of 202 South and 204 North, which is Henderson Highway. A lot of cars coming up here to see the action at the floodway. Some of the roads are closed off here, and we're going to talk with Mark from the Grand Marais Fire Department. Mark, can you maybe tell me a little bit of why these roads are closed off here?
Yeah, one of the main reasons that the roads are closed off is that they are taking mud from the old railway bed back here, and they're erecting a dike further south, And that's the main reason we have the roads closed off here, is to keep the traffic out while the trucks are in bringing the mud out.
Now, you're seeing a lot of traffic obviously come up here. Is it tying up the trucks that are trying to get the job done?
Yeah, it is. We would like to see people's kind of lay off at this time, give us the time to get the business done here, and hopefully by this afternoon we'll be able to get everything freed up.
Plugged in Flood 97 coverage continues. We're here north, and we're at the outlet of the floodway into the Red River here on Lockport, and we're joined with Constable Tracy McGonigal. And Tracy, as we can see behind us, the waters are fast flowing, and your main concern at this point is to keep people away from these fast flowing waters.
That's correct. We're trying to keep people away from the floodway area and the Red River itself. The waters, as you can see, are very dangerous, and we're afraid that people are going to get sucked into the river. We're asking people to stay away. I know they want to see what's going on, but it's better that they stay away for their own safety.
Has it been a challenge? Because, I mean, it's quite an awesome sight to come here and see this. It's only natural we want to get part of the action and see this, so it must be quite a challenge for you to take this on.
It sure is. As I was saying to another officer earlier, that I think that clearly there's a lot of spots that are safe where people can stand back and watch without getting too close to the river. There's people that are right near the river's edge, and I just think that's just too dangerous right now. And we're busy, and we can't be coming down and telling people that they have to move every hour or so.
So the bottom line is you want to get the message across to stay away from the floodway.
That's correct. Just stay away from the floodway and the Red River at this point. They've never had conditions like this, and they just don't know what's going to happen.
Okay, thanks for your time. Constable McGonigal. I'm Rob Wozni. This is Plugged In to Flood 97 from Lockport.
Right now, Dick Reeves is standing by live with a story from the floodway and the Red River.
And this is Dick Reeves for Plugged In Flood 97, 24-hour information on Cable 11. Ladies and gentlemen, I am standing right now at the exit to the floodway. This is in Lockport. And to put it in perspective, for those of you viewing across the country, for those of you in Victoria, it would be about the equivalent distance of Esquimalt from Victoria. For those of you in Edmonton, it's about the same distance as the city centre to West Edmonton Mall. If you're viewing in Toronto, it's about city centre to Richmond Hill. For St. John's, Newfoundland, it's about the same distance as it is from the centre of St. John's to the city of Mount Pearl just outside. That is in proportion to our position from the city of Winnipeg. All the water that enters the red exits, or enters the floodway rather, around the city of Winnipeg exits at this area where I'm standing. We'd like to show you some camera shots from our camera that's above our position right now. This is the water coming into this area just behind where I stand. And as you can see, the pace of this is absolutely unbelievable. About 20 minutes before we arrived here, we had reports from several people of a shed, a large shed, that actually came tolling down through the waterway behind me and literally split it into thousands of pieces. Now, we have with us here this afternoon a gentleman by the name of Rob Olson. Rob is a fisherman from Gimli, which is a community on Lake Winnipeg. And Rob, your impressions of this?
Oh, the wind is just going to raise hell with everything. The force of the wind will raise the level of the water another 2 feet, is maybe 3 feet. That's not a statistic, but that's what I've experienced myself from Gimli.
Let me ask you something now. What Rob's referring to is the lake of water that is south of Winnipeg and has yet to crest here in the area. You were telling me that the effect of the wind on the lake in Gimli.
Yes, when the wind blows from the north, we have the south basin of Lake Winnipeg will rise as much as 2 to 3 feet overnight or in a day, depending on the strength of the wind, of course.
And with a south wind?
A south wind, what we'll do is it'll push the water south or north up to the north basin. But this water and that lake that's south of Winnipeg right now, this is something to be concerned about.
Let me ask you now, how will the flood affect fishery in Lake Winnipeg?
Well, all this water has to drain somewhere, and it's going to drain into Lake Winnipeg. So the south basin is going to raise. We're not sure what the level is going to get to, but when the water does rise, the fishing tends to slide because there's more water. The fish is more dispersed.
You are anticipating some problems with the fishery this year?
Yes, we most certainly are. There's been all the animal death in North Dakota. Plus all the chemical spills and the fuel. This is all adding to the problem. So,
Rob Olson, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you see a lot of concerns. We have the homes in Winnipeg, and of course we have the residual problems, which are upriver. And again, keeping in mind, we talk upriver, we're talking north, in that the Winnipeg, the Red River flows north from North Dakota through Manitoba. Lots of problems anticipated. And as you can see by the water behind me, and I'm 6 feet tall, we have water that is blowing virtually 50, 60, 70 feet in the air. Lots of power here, but you know what? The will of the people of Manitoba is that of greatness, and we urge you across Canada to make a contribution for flood relief. For your cable access, this is Plugged In 97, Flood 97 with Dick Reeves.